Mr. Ness, can you open the door for me?
It was open. Why did you ring?
I thought I should use the doorbell so I wouldn't startle you.
When I came in, I pressed the doorbell and it didn't work.
Well, in light of the facts, I deduced that it was your finger that wasn't working. So, what can you tell me to restore my faith in you as a detective?
What is that?
Not a good start. It's a camera, so Alphonse can see all this.
All right. Follow me. Boccherini had company for dinner. Someone from Vermont with the initials OB. Someone whose social status was a lot higher, but who was on the same side of the law. He served lasagna, and after clearing away the dishes, they opened a bottle of whiskey in the dining room. That was when the murderer burst in on them, coming through the window which he broke with his own body weight. Boccherini, or maybe his guest, pulled a gun, but it was a waste of time. The murderer was so fast he was disarmed before he could fire. He focused his attention on Boccherini, totally ignoring the guest, and lifted him up into the air. He then threw him against the dining room table so hard that one of the glasses of whiskey was embedded in Boccherini's back. He span around, clawing at the table, and immediately afterwards the murderer ripped off his hands. I have no idea how he did it, but all the evidence suggests he just pulled. Blood sprayed everywhere. The wristwatch fell to the ground. He dragged him through the corridor into the hall. He tore down the lamp, hung him from the brackets, and stabbed steel rods through his body. He skewered him on the iron bars, possibly taken from the fence outside, and pulled out his teeth one by one. Finally, he scooped out his eyes with a teaspoon. Boccherini must have been dead when the murderer went to the bathroom with his hands in his teeth. There, he arranged them to make an altar, weaving the fingers together and placing the teeth inside. Next, he painted something on the wall in blood, a symbol which I don't recognize, but which could have some kind of ritualistic significance. When he'd finished his artwork, he left. I don't know what he did with the eyes.
You're telling me that someone did all this armed with a teaspoon?
More or less.
And you worked all this out on your own, just by looking?
More or less.
I don't know which of the two of you scares me more. Wait a second. What about the guest?
Right. Come with me. Nothing.
Turns out Mr. Untouchable isn't infallible, but you were close. Congratulations.
This must be Boccherini's office. Let's take a quick look around.
All yours.
Jesus, there's at least $1 million here.
Boccherini's?
I'd be surprised. Probably his guests, and I doubt it was to pay Boccherini for his services. None of his forgeries are worth that much. The driver's license of one John Martinson and Osmond Burke. O.B.
Do we know him?
The eldest son of the richest family in Vermont, convicted rapist. He was arrested thanks to the testimony of his father, who wound up disinheriting him. He escaped from prison last week. He broke into the family home and slit the throats of all his relatives one by one, opened the safe, and got away with a fortune.
They don't make jails like they used to.
Carlo, I have the goods for OB, but I have to take the children to school tomorrow and I can't make the meetup. Friday, same time, same place. It's signed N.I.
These initials are getting to be a pain in the ass, right?
I have to take the kids to school tomorrow. I don't think this is some loving divorced daddy, Milton.
I take back what I just said. All starting to add up, isn't it?
Out of my way! Ow!
Milton! Milton!
You're doing fine on your own, Mr. Ness. I believe in you.
Get out! Get out of my way, I said! He's coming back!
Who's coming back?
Him! The monster!
The guy who killed Boccherini?
He was a monster! Oh, get your hands off me, Negro!
What was he like? Describe him for me.
It was a monster. Red and black. I mean, his head reached the ceiling. He tore off his hands with his claws! It was a monster! A monster!
Should I hit him again?
Burke, shut up! You're Osmond Burke, right?
Yes.
Good. Now pay attention, Burke, because I have a question for you. Who is this money for?
Nikolai Ivankov.
Rings a bell.
One of Capone's right-hand men 20 years ago. What does this stuff about kids mean?
I don't know.
Calm down, Burke. You were going to meet up with him, right?
Yes, at the docks, berth 42, right next to where the alligator 3 is moored.
So what's the meetup time?
Tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? No, it's going to be tonight. Don't get too comfortable. We'll be there in no time. The cops in Santa Esperanza aren't as straight as the cops in Vermont. Even so, I think they'll be delighted to see you at the station.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Ness. I have to take him to Alphonse.
Out of the question. I know his temper. He'll beat him to a pulp.
Listen, if the missing girl was your granddaughter, you wouldn't forgive me if I didn't let you see the only suspect who could lead us to her.
Okay.